Hello, viewers. This is SP here, and this is an idea that I have for a Gamera video game called Gamera Rebirth the Game. It's a continuation to the Gamera Rebirth anime, 3D anime. Anyway, it was originally going to be called Gamera Guardians, but I changed it to a sequel to Gamera Rebirth instead. It is a beat 'em up type of video game where you not only control Gamera but other good kaiju in this video game. It is developed by Vanillaware LED, the same developers who developed Unicorn Overlord. So it has a sort of a little bit 2D like style, but with that, 3D. Well, if you played video games like Unicorn Overlord, you would know how the animation is like. Anyway, it is also published by Atlas, the same publishers who published Unicorn Overlord. Anyway, the gameplay for this game is similar to Dawn of the Monsters. It is both single player and or multiplayer, or actually it says it has single player and multiplayer mode, with internet connections for multiplayer. So, like for like story mode or I don't know. Anyway, for the playable kaiju or the guardian kaiju that the player could play as, Gamera is definitely one of them. Monga, the unused flying squirrel-like kaiju, is now a playable kaiju here. Garasharp, which is a cobra-like kaiju. Pairan, which it's those alien starfish, starfish-like aliens from Warning from Space, but this one's just optional here. Here's Daimajin, the samurai-like golem from the Daimajin trilogy. Solar Surta, which is a made-up kaiju that I came up with, which would be a frilled lizard-like kaiju. Another original kaiju of mine is Rhinonormus, a woolly rhino-like kaiju that can go on both 2 legs and 4 legs. And the last original kaiju I made up called Dromiodon, a Dromaeosaurus, or Dromaeosaur-like kaiju. And lastly, the Valkyrie mecha. That same Valkyrie mecha from, the Gamera X Comet idea that I have. Anyway, the military will also have sky drones and hover tanks that would aid the Guardian Kaiju against the bad guy Kaiju and stuff like that. Now here are the enemies that the players have to face. Sorry, that's just another notification of my email. Anyway, the normal smaller or small size ones like for like the giant hornets, which would be in one certain area called Iran, and the ice sea snakes for Iraq, which I'll explain for for the ice sea snakes, the flame hawks for a certain area, the rock moles, and the amoebas. Oh well, some of these are random, but others have a good reason to be in certain areas and being a certain type of thing. And here are the bosses. Polar, a polar bear-like kaiju who uses water-based attacks, or I should say ice-based attacks, because. Shadarkish, a winged lioness-like kaiju who uses air-based attacks. Quadrupard, a four-headed leopard-like kaiju who has wings and uses fire-based attacks, and Oxydon, a half-ox, half-dinosaur-like kaiju who uses earth-based attacks. The Beast, which would be the final boss, which started as a blob-like kaiju, but during the final boss battle, the beast would become a fusion of Polar, Shidarkus, Quadrupod, and Oxodon. And if you want to know what these four are based on, I'll tell you about them when I get to the story part. Now for the terminology. The kaiju pods. They're these small looking pods that the kaiju would be inside, well, for the players to hold. Well, you get the point. They're based on, well, they actually pay homage to the capsule kaiju from Ultra 7. If you ever seen that series before. I mean, if you ever watched that series. My apologies. Anyway, for the story. 6 years has passed after the events of Episode 6 of Gamera Rebirth. Hiroki Wada is studying for hepatology, which I forget what that is. Jun Ichihara is studying mythology because her studies of knowing about the unknown and stuff like that. And Douglas Kent Osborne is studying to be a military soldier. Kind of like following his father's footsteps, but in his own way or something like that. One day, Monga appears in a Japanese town. Hiroki summons Gamera from a kaiju pod to fight Monga. But Hiroki starts noticing Satoru Matsuda on Monga's back and calls Gamera back to his pod. Satoru tells Hiroki, June, and Douglas about his time on an island where he crash landed on, where he befriends Monga as a baby kaiju, about the same size as baby Gamera from Gamera Rebirth Episode 6. After Monga grows big enough to fly, Satoru guides Monga to fly back to Japan, but was forced to land at the same Japanese town because the Air Force attacked the two of them from the sky. After finishing his story, he asks his friends about his father. They sadly tell Satoru that his father died. I don't know how he died, maybe from like depression for the loss of his son or something, I don't know. Anyway, Satoru is horrified to hear that. They take Satoru to his dad's graveyard. Satoru prays for his father for him to rest in peace, or hopefully well, actually, I'd rather have him pray that he's with his mother and stuff like that, like in heaven or something. But anyway, he then starts crying starts crying that his dad is dead. I know he had four in it, but heck. Hiroki, June, and Douglas comfort Satoru just before they take him to where Monga is being kept. No, at the secret location, James takes Satoru and the others to where Monga is at. There, they notice that Gamera is keeping an eye on Monga. Just, James introduces Satoru to the kaiju pod. Hikaru demonstrates on how the kaiju pod works by returning Gamera back into his kaiju pod. Satoru then returns Monga to his own kaiju pod. James shows Satoru a video about Gamera's training when he was growing up. This leads to the training gameplay where the player learns the ropes on how, to control the kaiju. After watching the video, James received a message from an unknown caller that not only a kaiju is attacking Iraq, but there's a heavy storm in Iraq. Hiroki, June, Satoru, and Douglas tell James that they're on the job. The gameplay starts with the players chosen playable kaiju and battle through all the enemy kaiju in Iraq on 3 different levels. At the 3rd level, the players fight the boss of the area named Shidarkish. After the players defeat Shidarkish, the heavy storm has stopped. Here we go. Anyway, and the kai and the guardian kaiju return back to their respective kaiju pods. Hiroki, June, Sotaro, and Douglas return back to base by helicopter. Back at the base, James asks June if Shidarkish is based on any mythological creature, especially one in Iraq. June replies that there was a mythological creature called the Shidu. Called the Shidu, sorry. Which was the guardian of Babylon, but has certain questions on why such a guardian of Babylon would attack Iraq. Although she's not too sure if the Shidarkish and the Shidu are one of the same, but anyway. Suddenly, James gets a call from the same unknown person who tells him that another kaiju attack is at the Persian Gulf in Iraq, where it is frozen due to the kaiju, and you know. James tells Hiroki, June, Sotaro, and Douglas about the situation and recommended that they should wear really warm clothing since the entire Persian Gulf is really cold. The next gameplay is the same as the one in Iraq, going through 3 levels in the same area. The boss for the Iraq level is called Polar. After the boss is defeated, all the ice at the Persian Gulf starts to melt and the temperature in the entire area starts warming up. Back at the base, at the control room, June tries to put things together with Shidarkish and Polar, but can't put the pieces together. Suddenly, the screen starts glitching. Also, a masked woman, who is also the unknown person who was contacting James, suddenly appears on the screen. She tells everyone that Shidarkish, Polar, and 2 more kaiju will create a catastrophe onto the world. She then says that she will find more information about the 4 certain kaiju and informs them that the 3rd kaiju is at Greece that is causing fires to spread all over the area, just before she cuts off. The next gameplay takes the players to Greece which is the same thing, blah blah blah. The boss for the Greece stage is Quadrupard. After the boss is defeated, all the fire in Greece dies down. Back at the secret base, June does recall a 4-headed leopard from Daniel chapter 7, along with a winged lion, a bear, and a 4th beast that is varied in design. So yeah, these four bosses before the final bosses are based on the 4 great beasts from Daniel chapter 7. And then the final one would be the one beast that is a combined fusion of the 4 of them. Spoiler alert, sorry. Anyway, as June, Hiroki, Douglas, Sotaro, and James are wondering if these 4 kaiju are the same beasts from Daniel chapter 7, they started hearing voices from the masked woman who complimented on June's theory. The masked woman appears on the screen, telling the 5 of them that the Eustace Foundation are behind these recent kaiju attacks. Douglas asks if the Eustace Foundation is still active, but the masked woman reassures the 5 of them that the Eustace Foundation is no more, and all its members are dead. She then informs the five of them that the Eustace Foundation had the four kaiju as a backup plan, just in case the organization itself is no more, and all its members are dead. And if all of its members are dead, she then tells the five of them that the last kaiju that they have to defeat is at Rome. Here, put Abram, sorry. And that she gives them the coordinations to the Eustace Foundation's secret area that they have been hiding, just before she cuts off. Hiroki, June, Douglas, Sitaro, and James head off to Rome. The next gameplay is the same as the last three. The boss in this stage is called Oxydon, who causes earthquakes and rocks to pop out of the ground in Rome. After the boss is defeated, the masked woman gives Hiroki, June, Douglas, Sitaro, and James the cord coordinates to the secret area. Sorry for that pause. I'm trying to figure out what that word says. So, anyway. The five of them head towards the secret area by helicopter. The five of them arrive to where the secret area is at. It is. Anyway. Okay, let me start over. The five of them arrive to where the secret area is at an uncharted island somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. They landed at a certain spot near some ruins where the masked woman is waiting for them. She guides the five of them down to the inner structure of the ruins. As the six of them go deeper into the ruins, the masked woman explains to Hiroki, June, Douglas, Sotaro, and James that these ruins are from the same ancient civilization who created Gamera and the other kaiju from various prehistoric animals and all kinds, including dinosaurs. From the mask, or I hope I said, from various prehistoric animals of all kinds, including dinosaurs. Anyway, the masked woman brings the five of them to the central part of the ruins, where the beasts that the Eustace Foundation has kept tabs of. But before the six of them entered the room, Hiroki starts suspecting that the masked woman is Imiko Malchiori. The masked woman asks Hiroki why he accuses the masked woman herself as Imiko, who she called Imiko a foolish woman who was blind by her need for revenge. June, who called Imoko a foolish woman who was blind by her need for revenge. Anyway, Hiroki pointed out that only Hiroki had a high knowledge for the ancient civilization, especially during that time when Imiko tried to sacrifice Hiroki, June, Douglas, and Sotaro to Virus. The masked woman starts laughing and complimented on Hiroki's clever guess. Or wait. Oh, yeah, Hiroki, sorry. Just before she removes her mask, revealing to be Imiko herself. The five characters, Hiroki, June, Douglas, Sotaro, and James, are shocked and horrified by Imiko's shredded and torn face. Imoko starts telling the five of them her story about her aunt's wrongdoings that caused Imiko herself to go to such twisted lengths. The baby mouse gave Imoko's disfigured face just before she grabbed the ring that the baby gauss digged out, while it was eating the Virus corpse. Or Virus's corpse, sorry. Hoping that Esgios would deliver her revenge, Imiko watches the fight between Gamera and S. Giles on a computer when she noticed that Space Giles was implanting some unknown stuff into Gamera. Imoko starts analyzing the same stuff and is shocked to discover that that same stuff was a virus of some kind that enables the Eustace Foundation to control Gamera. Imoko realized that her aunt and the other Eustace Foundation members placed that feature on S. Giles, and that all hope is lost. But when she noticed that Gamera destroyed the Eustace Foundation's base, I forgot to put comma S, base on the moon, with all the members in that building getting killed from Gamera's attack, Imoko starts laughing insanely, realizing that Gamera helped her. Well, that Gamera was or him that Gamera that Gamera was the one who helped Imoko get her revenge. Imoko concludes her story that ever since that day she traveled around the world to make sure that the Eustace Foundation is finished, which leads her to these ruins that holds the beast. From these ruins, she discovered that the info about the four kaiju and the beast were where she keeps the beast at bay while the guardian kaiju take care of the other four kaiju. June asks Imoko about why she's doing all this. Helping them out and stuff like that after what Imoko has done. Imoko replied that she owes Gamera for, helping her get revenge on her aunt and stuff like that. Hiroki, June, well, okay, she owes both Gamera, Hiroki, June, Douglas, and Sutaru for helping Imoko herself for getting her revenge. She then tells Hiroki, June, Douglas, and Sotaro to get ready to summon their kaiju when when just before she opens the doors to where the beast is and stuff like that. The gameplay in this area is a boss fight against the beast. Imoko explains to Hiroki, June, Douglas, and Sotaro that she'll keep the other doors closed to prevent the beast from escaping. After the Guardian Kaiju defeated the beast, suddenly the ceiling starts to open for the beast to escape. And not by, well, Imoko isn't responsible for that. It just did it on its own. Imoko tries to prevent the beast from escaping, but with no result. But with failed results. Suddenly, the screen pops up, showing a recording from Nori Melchiori that the beast is the last resort that the Eustace Foundation is the last resort for the Eustace Foundation, and that any who try to stop the beast are delaying the inevitable. She then calls Imoko a fool before the recording ends. Yeah, for calling her a fool because she tries to stop the Eustace Foundation from their goals and stuff like that. Imoko realized that she was playing right in front of her aunt's hands. Hiroki, June, Douglas, Satoru, and James reassures Imoko that there's still hope. Another notification, apologize for that. As the ruins start collapsing, the Guardian Kaiju follow the beast through the ceiling, while Imoki, Hiroki, June, Douglas, Satoru, and James were able to escape the ruins and got in the helicopter just in time before the ruins on the island collapsed. They witnessed the beast growing all of the heads of the four kaiju and various other parts from each of them. Gamera and the other guardian kaiju roar at the beast or like, a challenge and stuff like that. The final gameplay is a boss battle against the beast in its ultimate form. Gamera and all the other kaiju use their ultimate moves to kill the beast. Everyone on the helicopter cheers for Gamera and the other Guardian Kaiju's victory. Gamera and all the other Guardian Kaiju roar in triumph. During the end credits, Hiroki is analyzing the structure of an unknown reptile of some kind. June and Douglas started dating. Satoru started working at a zoo where he meets a nice girl. Emiko and James are working it together again, but for better causes this time. Gamera and the other Guardian Kaiju are at their own respective homes. Mostly in places of this good organization. I haven't come up with a name for this good organization, but they just they relocated the kaiju for, different locations. Although it doesn't make sense for that since they'd be in respectable kaiju pods. But anyway, the end credits end with the words thanks for playing and ending the gameplay. Oh yeah, and the trivia I mentioned earlier that it was originally going to be called Gamera Guardians, that it would be a fighting game, kind of like with and it was supposed to be like Primal Rage 2 with switching out the characters with their partner kaiju and stuff like that, you know. But I changed it to a just a beat 'em up game and, changing it to Gamera Rebirth the game. And I mentioned about the kaiju pods were supposed to pay homage to the capsule kaiju from Ultra 7. So anyway. So I apologize for any of my missayings and whatever I wrote down just makes no sense or just a miswriting or something like that. So what do you guys think of my ideas for a Gamera video game, especially a sequel to Gamera Rebirth? And I know that you may say that this could have been a anime sequel to Gamera Rebirth, but I just made it into a game because I just really want Gamera to have a new video game, you know, ever since Gamera 2000 the game. So what do you guys think of my ideas for a Gamera video game? What are your personal ideas for a Gamera video game? Just leave a comment down below, like, share, describe, and goodbye.